Okay, so this isn't going to be one of those perfect success stories. Let's just forget the motivational posters for a minute. This is a story about the real kind of painful truth of how success is actually earned. It's a story of a guy named Evan, someone who really started with nothing but was willing to face the hard stuff when everyone else, including his past self, just wanted to run away.
See, Evan learned this incredibly powerful lesson about comfort. It's not some loud enemy that kicks down your door. No, it's a whisper. It's that little voice that tells you, hey, you're fine, or you deserve a break, or the classic, you'll start tomorrow. It's this soft, sweet voice that just slowly and very quietly puts all your ambition to sleep. All right, so the first part of Evan's story is all about what he called his silent life, a life he was living inside a cage that he didn't even know he was in. Evan's life was basically a flatline. Wake up, go to a safe but boring job, eat alone, sleep, and then do it all over again. And all the while, what's he doing? He's scrolling online, watching the rest of the world celebrating, traveling, growing, winning. He wasn't really living. He was just existing, watching life from the sidelines. You know, Evan really thought all those safe choices were protecting him. He wouldn't apply for that better job because, well, he might fail. He wouldn't speak up in meetings because he might get judged. But here's the thing, that safety wasn't a shield. It was a prison. It wasn't protecting him at all. It was just slowly killing his hunger, turning him from someone who could grow into someone who just survived. And then it happens. The breaking point. It came one night, around 2 a.m. He's looking in the mirror, and he just doesn't recognize the person staring back at him. And he asks this haunting question, not about what he lost, but who he'd lost. The kid who had all those dreams was just gone, replaced by this ghost who had quietly given up on himself. That painful moment, that realization, that was the beginning. That's what led him to decide to take the very first step. And it wasn't about changing his whole life overnight. It was just about taking one single, absolutely terrifying challenge. Think about it. After years of always picking the easy route, his mind was, well, it was weak. That inner critic was shouting, and even the smallest step felt like trying to climb Mount Everest. For Evan, that first step was as simple as opening his laptop and searching for freelance work online. Each one of these steps, it was a full-on battle. Just typing in that search made him feel like a total fraud. Creating a profile with zero experience felt deeply embarrassing. And hitting send on that first proposal, his heart was pounding, and this voice in his head was just screaming, "You're gonna fail anyway." Now, here's a part of the struggle that most people just don't talk about. The second after he sent that proposal, this wave of pure panic hit him. What if they actually reply? What if I get the job and I completely mess it up? It's like this aftershock of fear, and it's designed to pull you right back into your comfort zone. But he got the job. He wrote the article absolutely terrified the entire time. And he earned $25. Now, that money wasn't life-changing. It was never about the money. The real payment was this thought. For the first time in years, that tiny $25 win proved one monumental thing to him. I can. And that was the first crack in the prison walls. It was just a tiny glimpse of the person he could actually become. But of course, life doesn't just reward one small win with a straight path to success. Now, Evan's journey was about to get into the really hard part, the silence, the rejection, and the brutal pain of trying to build any kind of momentum. So after that first win, Evan is just filled with hope. He sends out 10 more proposals, and then nothing. Just dead silence. A week goes by, he finally gets a reply, he does the work, and he gets this brutal, confidence-crushing rejection. Reality just punched him right in the gut, right after he'd finally allowed himself to feel hopeful again. And that rejection, it just about broke him. He was ready to quit, totally convinced that his first success was just a lucky fluke. But in that moment of just total defeat, one question bubbled up in his mind. He imagined his future self 5 years from now, in the exact same room with the exact same regret. And that vision, it was way more painful than any rejection could ever be. And that one question, it led to this incredible shift in his whole mindset. He stopped expecting to succeed. He stopped running from pain. Instead, he decided to accept it. He realized that failing while you're actually trying was infinitely better than succeeding at staying hidden and safe. Pain wasn't a signal to stop. It was a sign that he was finally growing. And this is where the story really turns. Because Evan finally realized the real war wasn't for clients or jobs. The real war was happening every single morning right inside his own head.
He literally wrote these 5 sentences on his wall. And this wasn't some cheap motivation trick. No, this was a deliberate reprogramming of his brain. He read them every morning and every night until they became his new operating system, overwriting all that old code of fear and comfort.
And he didn't just look at the rules, he backed them up with a simple, powerful training system. First, he would catch a negative thought, like, "You're not good enough." Second, he'd answer it directly. "I don't need to be good right now, I just need to be brave." And third, he would respect the process by just showing up and doing the work, creating his own momentum instead of waiting for motivation to strike.
And the result of all that inner work, it was this really profound shift in his language. He went from saying, "I have to," which is a language of force and obligation, to "I get to," which is a language of opportunity and choice. This wasn't about punishing himself with discipline. It was about proving to himself that he could trust himself again. So all of this, it led it to the final stage of his journey. And there was no viral moment, no big announcement. True transformation, he learned, is a quiet, internal process.
And this right here is such a crucial takeaway. We live in this age of glow-ups for social media, right? But real change isn't a loud event. It's the slow, daily, invisible work that nobody sees and nobody claps for. It's forgiving yourself when you slip up, restarting without all the drama, and rewriting your identity one boring day at a time.
Evan finally, truly understood this core truth. He had spent years waiting for his life to change, for some opportunity to just show up. But what he learned is that the world is like a mirror. It doesn't change first. You have to change internally. And then, and only then, does your external reality start to follow. And so, Evan's story leaves us with this final, really powerful question. The daily discipline of growth, yeah, it can feel pretty boring. The reps, the practice, the consistency, it's not always exciting. But you know what? A life of quiet regret, of constantly wondering what if, is its own kind of boring. So you have a choice. The boredom of discipline or the boredom of regret. Which one are you going to choose?